We're live. Sorry about that delay. The producer of the show that I always talk to when I do the show is a bit late. She'll be here as soon as she can. So we're gonna move forward, and she'll be here later on the show. And I mean, there's been a lot of news in the Batman film, comic book news, and all that. We got confirmed that Jeffrey Wright will be playing Jim Gordon. And there's been rumors of Jonah Hill playing an unknown character. It's the Penguin. It's going to be the Penguin. There's no other character really Jonah Hill can play. I know that a lot of people are saying Riddler, and it's just like, I don't see Jonah Hill as the Riddler. I see him more as the Penguin, because if you ever watch films like The Wolf of Wall Street, or really any other character he plays serious, you can kind of see him as the Penguin. I always thought he would be brilliant as the Penguin. And I think for me, I think he would be great as the Penguin. I think you give him a role like the Penguin, he would knock it out of the park, in my opinion. I forgot to start the intro. I think that Jeffrey Wright playing Gordon, I don't really see him playing that role. And for me, I always wanted to see Clive Owen play Gordon, because Clive Owen can play a really dark character. I highly recommend the show The Nick, where he plays a doctor, and he has, an addiction issue, and he is a brilliant surgeon, just very complex. Gordon is a very complex character, especially if you read Batman Year One. He's a very complex individual or if you watch Gotham, or you read Snyder's and Capullo's New 52, you give an origin of Gordon where he's sort of like this really complicated individual. I just didn't like him as Batman. That really just was like, why? It was really weird, though. They I'll admit, it was pretty ballsy of them to kill off Batman. I mean, they didn't kill Bruce Wayne, they just killed his memory of being Batman. And the Joker. I mean, it was pretty ballsy of them to get rid of the two big name characters and try to see what they could do without them as Batman and Joker. I thought it was brilliant. They really did an awesome job. However, with Jeffrey Wright as Gordon, I just don't see him playing Gordon. I just really don't. I don't know why. Him as Gordon, I can't see it. I mean, he sucked in the movie W. Well, thank you, love. He was not that great in W. I know there's going to be a lot of people like, well, he did a good job, but it's just like, not really. Not really. I mean, if you're going to get an actor to play Gordon, you really need someone who is a really strong actor to play off of Robert Pattinson, to really elevate Pattinson's portrayal of Batman. That's what they did with the Nolan trilogy. Like, a lot of people didn't know who the fuck Christian Bale was when he was cast as Batman, except I knew who he was. He was in American Psycho, a film you really can't forget. And he was in Shaft. I remember he was in Shaft. And when they cast him as Batman, a lot of people didn't know who he was. But they surrounded him with other big name actors, like really caliber strong actors like Gary Oldman, Michael Caine, Morgan Freeman. What's his name? He was the one guy who was always in, like, Mark Boone Jr., who, for those who don't know, he was in Sons of Anarchy. I highly recommend that show. That is a fucking good show. Sons of Anarchy. Really good show. Ron Perlman just steals it. Like, I know it's funny, though. My sister, like, hates Ron Perlman. I like Ron Perlman as an actor, but him as on Twitter, he's a dick to people. But him as an actor, he's brilliant. I forget the other guy's name. He's always in Tom Wilkinson. That's who I'm thinking of. He was great as Falcone. Yeah. But Christian Bale as Batman was just brilliant. Falcone at the dock. I just loved the voice, how he did the voice. It was just like, how the fuck did he do that voice? Well, I know he like wore out his vocal cords during filming. Like, he lost his voice several times doing the Batman growl and stuff. It was just like, wow. But it's funny though. I don't know why. It doesn't help much. I got blocked by Jeffrey Wright on Twitter. Apparently he gets very sensitive when you sort of fire back at him for his stupidity on Twitter. Was it because he played Colin Powell and really sounded more like Mr. T than anything? Probably, yeah. I gotta play this clip, because if you ever listen to Colin Powell speak, which I have heard Colin Powell speak, and the way Jeffrey Wright does Colin Powell, it is really bad. I'm going to play two clips. I'm going to play Colin Powell, played by Jeffrey Wright, and I'm going to play the actual Colin Powell. Let's see. And I got to say this. What's his name? Richard Dreyfuss, who played Dick Cheney in W, was not that good. He sounded more like John McCain than he sounded like Dick Cheney. If you ever watch like Vice, then you watch W, you know that Christian Bale is a good fucking actor. Like, I was like scared to death when I saw Vice. Just how Christian Bale looked like Dick Cheney and sounded like Dick Cheney. It was fucking scary. I saw that, I was just like... it was like a ghost walked in. Because Dick Cheney scared the shit out of me when he was vice president. Like, I was fucking scared of this dude. Like, I was just like, holy shit, this guy has more power than the actual president. It was just like, it was just crazy. Like, it was funny though, because like, if you ever watch Christian Bale and Vice, besides him and Amy Adams, him and Amy Adams really had good screen dynamic. But when you watch Christian Bale work with other actors around him, besides Steve Carell, he like shows how talented and how he knows his craft. And I believe Robert Pattinson is at the peak where he can really show everybody what he can do. I think he's going to do a fantastic job as Batman. It's pretty hard not to fuck it up. I mean, besides if you're George Clooney. Which I'm sure like every Warner Brothers executive gave him a Blu-ray copy of Batman Robin and be like, don't do this. This is what you avoid. And they hold up to Christian Bale, and this is what we want. So, anyway, here's Jeffrey Wright as Colin Powell.
We stick to the plan. So what is our real exit strategy on Iraq, Dick?
There is no exit. We stay.
Spoken like a true oilman.
Spoken like a true oilman. I just, it's like so hilarious how his voice, how he sounds like Mr. T. I pity the fool. He's spoken like a true oilman. He sounds like, he sounds like Mac from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia when he did the Murtaugh and Lethal Weapon 5. Alright. That was Jeffrey Wright as Colin Powell. Here is the actual Colin Powell, how he sounds.
We're back now with former Secretary of State Colin Powell. We want to talk a little politics and talk a little bit about this book that Dick Cheney himself said is going to cause heads all over Washington to explode. I guess I'd ask you, General, is your head exploding?
My head isn't exploding, and I haven't noticed any other heads exploding in Washington, D.C., and the explosive part of the book is what Mr. Cheney says is explosive, but from what I've read in the newspapers and seen on television, it's essentially a rehash of events of 7 or 8 years ago.
Do you see the difference? Like, I don't know what Jeffrey Wright was going for and W. But he sounds like Mr. T. Like, you heard Colin Powell. He speaks very well spoken, very well civilized. Jeffrey Wright was like, sounding like, you know, Mr. T as Colin Powell. I know a lot of people are like, he's British. It doesn't have anything to do with it. Christian Bale is Welsh, and he sounds more American than I do. Of course, if you ever had me and him speak together, I sound more like a hillbilly. So, it was kind of like dumbfounded how they cast Jeffrey Wright as Gordon. I have nothing against him again. Like, I know he seems like a jerk because he blocked me on Twitter. All I said was, like, you sound more like Mr. T when you played Colin Powell than you did the actual Colin Powell. Now, I got blocked by a lot of people on Twitter for my Suicide Squad review. And I got threatened with a lawsuit. Oh, shit. It was really, like, dumb. But anyway. So, wow, Steve returns in Blue's Clues. Aw. That's cool. Anyway, what was I going to talk about? I know I was going to talk about The Sims. I did start playing The Sims 3. It's the Sims Ambition with Sims 3 Deluxe with the Sims Ambition.